Deg-degan kan? Tidak sah kalau kita tidak berdoa bareng-bareng dulu. Oke? Alright, Jihada, please let our pray today. Diucapkan ya.
Ya teman-teman, mari kita mulai berdoa bersama. Semoga hari ini semua yang telah kita praktis bisa lancar, bisa sesuai harapan. Semoga apa yang kita tampilkan di depan juga seperti yang kalian harapkan sebelumnya, dan semoga semuanya sukses hari ini.
Amin.
Amin. Thank you, Jihada.
Okay, so guys, what if I asking you question, what does engineering means to you? You probably will tell me that engineering is about field of study that related to technical issue, creating simple lift, elevator, created machine. But what if I tell you that engineering is more than that? What if I tell you that engineering is us? So it's not about machine, but it's us. So today we are going to redefine what is engineering means to all of us, and clearly to be engineering the way of our thinking. So first, I would like to describe engineering is basically the definition of engineering is the process of making solution of a real world problem. That's a basic definition. And engineer is the people who come up with the idea and apply your knowledge to action or to things or create things such as machine or other action. So my lecturer once said that engineering can be any form, can be formed in any other approaches. Like doctor, for example, you are the engineer of health. Like educator, you are the engineer of the education system. So as long as we keep trying, find ideas and create and apply and make it things or create an action, then you can call yourself as engineer. So me, you, and all of us are engineer of our own field. So, but what can engineer can do for the world? That's simple, to be a problem solver, to be a problem solver, to create a problem, and to create a solution for a problem. But how? We start to thinking engineering the way of thinking. We start make engineering the way of thinking. First step that we need is us, curiosity, us, always us. Look around us. See if there is any problem, define a problem. Then next step, you need to imagine and think what the possible option are and designing how the solution that will be. And then you jump to the next step, which is create, starting to make a model, prototype for your image from your imagination into prototype. Then next, you need to simple improve, right? So after you models your ideas and into prototype, and you need to improve all the things that you have done before to make sure that it works better. So all in all, here today, what I'm going to tell you is no matter what your major is, no matter what your education background is, if we come up with one solution of each of us, Indonesia will have thousands of solutions. And imagine that we can make our world better. But the future, but the person or the one who can change the world, the one who can save the world isn't only a doctor, isn't only an engineer, isn't only an educator, but it's the one who can come up with the idea and make a solution and solve problems around you, and it's the one. So guys, be the one, engineer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. In IT, complex project can lead to real headache, especially if there's the changes in the requirement. which can make you start all over again. And that is something that is commonly happen in IT development. That's why, to solve this situation in IT, we have this framework called Scrum. Scrum is a way of managing your product development, work, and team for a fast-paced, complex project. And it has been used by more than 70% of IT teams around the world. It is also used by a very, very popular company, such as Google, Microsoft, or the others. So, what makes Scrum different with the other framework? Well, in Scrum, instead of planning everything from the very beginning until the end, you break down the product that you want to develop into a very, very small usable part. For example, if you want to build something like Gojek apps, the very small usable apps that part that you want to develop first, it might be something like sign up page. So you plan the detail only for the sign up page first, and after that you give that to the development team. And the development team will work on those small parts in a 2 weeks period, usually called as a sprint. So in those sprints, every day we will have a daily meeting in a team where everyone can address the problem and give solution to it. And this is a way to make sure that everything goes well, so no one's stuck with their problem. And at the end of the meeting, we will have something like a meeting where everyone can discuss about the result as well as the solution to make the next sprint become better. And once all of this process are done, you're going to deliver those small usable part to the user, or probably stakeholder if you don't have one. So, after you implement all of this process, this Scrum, you will be able to speeding up the delivery of the product, and which can lead to a happier customer, and you can also create a strong collaboration and communication in the team. Because everyone know what everyone's doing, and everyone do care what they're doing. And you can be as creative as you want in Scrum, because there's no micromanaging. So the question is, can you use Scrum in a non-IT team? Well, yes, it can. Because the basic idea of Scrum is to simply encourage people to work better and produce a higher quality inputs. And who can benefit from that? Of course, you can also do it faster. So if you want to implement Scrum in a non-IT team, you can simply choose the product that you want to develop first. For example, if you're in marketing, the product is something like probably marketing campaign. So, and you can simply adjust the rest of the Scrum rules. Well, it's that easy because Scrum is very easy to implement, but it takes forever to master. So why not you start doing it now and see how the acceleration that it results will change your life. Thank you.
Berapa menit lagi waktunya?
My name is Sarah, and I want to tell you about a story about a man named Tommy. Well, Tommy is a very healthy man. He works out, he rarely drinks, and he never did drugs during his young age. And he is very confident that when it comes to old age, he would be free of all these deadly diseases such as heart failure or lung failure or perhaps cancer. But then, suddenly, in his 50s, he felt this uncomfortable sensation in his chest. He collapses onto the ground, and as the paramedics rush him to the nearest hospital, he can't help but wondering to himself, what happened to me? What kind of self-care I didn't do? His doctor then told him that, Tommy, you're suffering from heart attack, and this is due to a substance build-up called plaque in your heart valve or katup jantung in Bahasa. Well, Tommy was very confused because I didn't do anything. I did not eat junk food. But his doctor said that this is not because of junk food. This is because an endocarditis infection. To add his surprises, because Tommy had never heard of it, this infection is not caused because simply you did not eat junk food or you did not go exercising. It's because Tommy, or perhaps all of you, forgot to brush your teeth every night. If you forgot to brush your teeth, what started out as full-fledged breakfast or fancy dine-outs end up making a cavity of your tooth, then if left untreated, would lead to an expanding cavity to a room called pulp, which has a lot of nerves and blood vessels. This would cause the bacteria to migrate to your blood vessels, all circulating all around your body, and find the place it find most comforting to live in, which is your heart. This is called endocarditis infection. And if perhaps you are actually lucky enough not to let the bacteria migrate all around your body, it would just stay at the bottom of your tooth and gathering all its friends, gathering all the colonies, making fluid build up, causing your neck, your cheek, and your jaw to swell. Then finally, leading to chest pain or breathing failure called Ludwig's angina. Scary, isn't it? All of this happened because you forgot to brush your teeth. But this simply can be avoided by brushing your teeth. Start with a toothbrush. Don't forget with a toothpaste too. Brush circularly from your teeth to your gum, then move at the back of your teeth. Brush this upper surface of your teeth, like bigger teeth such as molars. Then, don't forget to brush your tongue too, as it would help to reduce bacteria and bad breath. Lastly, brush the inner part of your teeth to get rid of remaining food stuck in between. As one act of kindness can simply change the world, one act to keep your teeth healthy can actually keep yourself from dying. It's basically much easier, isn't it, rather than dying in your hospital. So, don't forget to get your routine checked twice daily, 2 minutes at once. Visit your favorite dentist. Lastly, brush your teeth, stay healthy, live long and prosper. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Good day. My name is Radifan Hassan, and yes, my background is marine engineering. It is sometimes intrigue me when someone asking me, "What my major about? What is you're doing with your major, and what is your prospect?" and so on and so forth. But I'm not blaming the one who asking me, but it is kind of irony. If we see the area of our country, that the 2/3 of our area of our country is covered by the sea. And it is with those questions, I think that it is mean that marine technology development has no place in people's mind. And another fact is because of we are covered by the sea, that it means that we are integrated by the sea. Each of our islands is connected by the sea. And does it mean that we should be prosper evenly? But if we see at the specific area, for example Papua, what do you see in this picture? Hunger, poverty, malnutrition. But let's move to the other area. It is Surabaya. Business, wealth, prosperity. This is disparity. And let's take a look at another things, commodity. If you want to buy 50 kilograms of cement in Jakarta, you must spend around 60,000 rupiah. But let's move to Papua. If you want to buy 50 kilograms of cement, you must spend around 500,000 rupiah. And it has decreased value. Before it, you must spend around 2 million rupiah. Why we can decrease the value? Why there is a gap disparity between the areas in Indonesia? I would like to answer it with one word. Shipping. Shipping is not just an old-fashioned industry. Shipping is food. Shipping is life. Shipping is everything. And what happens in Papua, it is because the infrastructure. Can you see this? This is the port in Fakfak. Very small port. And it's only able to anchor a small ship. It's different case with the Surabaya or Jakarta. It has a big port and it's able to anchor big ship. So it is just like when you using a private jet. It's more expensive if you want to use a mass transportation like a economy flight. For example, if you're using a private jet, it only can transport small amount of people. But if you use the economy flight, it may transport a lot of people. It is same case with the logistic. That is why in Papua we got a lot of expensive price in logistics. So this is what we do, and this is what our presidents do. Shuttle is not a highway in a sea, on a sea, but this want to create integrated infrastructure in every area in Indonesia, and with the goal of the development of area itself, because the shipping industry contribute to each area's development. And that is why that is what we do. That is my job, and that is your job also if you want to aware to our shipping industry. And because what we do is makes people smile. My name is Radifan Hassan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright. Since the Industrial Revolution, the world has been hooked by fossil fuel energies such as oil, natural gas, and coal. But many researchers have predicted that in 2050, the fossil fuel will be run out. In fact, fossil fuel is not renewable and it takes 1 million years to reproduce. On the other hand, the population in the world is always growing, and it will followed by the increase of energy demand in the world. So let's take a picture behind me. It shows that the world is still dominated by fossil fuel. However, the use of renewable energy is still less than 20%. So the question is, how can Indonesia play a role to maximize the use of renewable energy in the world? So, based on the data from SDM, Indonesia has a big potential in this sector, but it still lack of development. The number of underdeveloped energy potential in Indonesia is more than 90%. Such a big amount, isn't it? So, I will explain more about biomass energy. Basically, biomass energy is one of renewable energy that comes from a waste of plant or agriculture. So, let's do a little math. It is estimated that Indonesia can produce biomass for almost 150 million tons of biomass every year. And if we convert it to electrical energy, it will be almost 50,000 megawatt. Then, let's assume if one house in Indonesia use electricity for 2,600 watt per month, we can calculate that if we use the potential of biomass, we can light up more than 19 million houses in Indonesia. So, how to convert that waste to the energy? So, have you ever seen the picture like this before? Maybe not. So basically, this is represent a chemical engineer. This process is represent how to convert a raw material to a valuable product. But I won't take any further of this explanation because it's a little bit complicated, and maybe you guys will fall asleep because of my explanation, or maybe get bored. Even me, as a chemical engineering, thinks will be bored as well. So I will take a big picture of this process, how to convert biomass to electricity. So first, the raw material or the fiber or crop animals will be decomposed to a smaller size. Then it will burn by a combustion, and it will produce oil to generate the power plant. Then the power plant will supply the electricity to the houses. So the last thing, I want to invite you guys to be the agent of change. The first, you need to know it. You need to know what is the exact problem or issue in energy in Indonesia and the world. Then, you have to know how can we solve it. Then, share it to your friend, because we cannot do this alone or by 30 people in here, but we need a contribution from all millennials in Indonesia. Then, make it happen. Let's start from now. Maybe we can do a campaign for renewable energy or clean energy so people can aware of this issue. Or maybe you can even make a research about technology in renewable energy so so in the future we can do it together. So I believe we as a future leader can make this thing happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Please welcome our next speaker from the land of Katulistiwa, Aaf.
Okay, good morning. Morning. I think all of us have known about customs or bea cukai. We can find them in the border of territorial, or airport, or waterport. And then I will tell you about import per passenger. In the airport, or especially in the international arrival, do you ever see the custom crew bring the people or passenger to custom office and ask them to pay to redeem the stuff which they buy from overseas?
Yes, yes.
I think some of us have experienced it, because carrying a lot of souvenir or expensive branded stuff, or carrying stuff by unnatural amounts. Usually it is request from your friends, right? And if you arrive in Indonesia with that condition, you have to pay the import duty. And actually the import duty is not for a big importer only. It's applied into world people in the world who will visit and arrive in Indonesia. And this regulation is written in Peraturan Menteri Keuangan number 188 year 2010 about impor barang yang dibawa oleh penumpang, awak sarana pengangkut, pelintas batas, dan barang kiriman. And based on rule, every passenger can only bring maximum 250 for personal and $1,000 for a family. If more of that, you must pay the import duty. You must pay import duty. Not only import duty, it will be added with value-added tax around 10%, and if you bring luxury goods, it will be added with luxury good tax around 40%, after added with value-added tax and import duty. That's why almost all import stuff are very expensive. And if you bring under the limit, you don't need pay anymore, because we get custom facilities. The purpose of this rule actually to limit and control import stuff in our local market, and to protect our local product from import stuff. In order to keep our local product cheaper and sellable. And guys, the tax or import duty is one of many kind government revenue resource. And then why we need to pay the tax? As we know, the tax function is to financing the government program. For the example, education, for healthy, prosperity, security, and infrastructure. And guys, almost every people have their own prestigious life, but we need to fulfill our duty about the tax in order to give contribution to our government and build our nation. And don't forget, love our local product and support them. And I am Aaf Shiddiq Perwira, Polytechnic State of Pontianak. Thank you. Let's aware of the tax and support local product.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning.
Imagine a space where you can get any information for you. Technology provides such a location where you can find any information, any data, secret information. That's called the deep web. A deep web lying beneath the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web is a normal site that we access, such as Facebook or YouTube. And below that, there's a deep web. A deep web is a content that cannot be found by a search engine. The example of the deep web is our bank transaction, our private information, our password. That's the deep web. And below that, there's a dark web. A dark web is a site that cannot be accessed by a normal browser, such as Google Chrome. It needs a specific browser. For the example, it's Tor. This is a Tor browser. It's a tool for us to access the dark web. Even though it's called a dark web, there are two sides of the dark web. The negative one and the positive one. The example of the negative one is the Silk Road, where you can buy an illegal drug. And the other example is a gun market, where people can buy a gun easily using a cryptocurrency or a Bitcoin. And in a positive side of a dark web, there are a lot of people who bring a positive purpose in a dark web. These are the examples. Many people create a library for us, where we can download a free ebooks. Even though it's like a double-edged sword because of its illegal status, there's also people who sell legal books, original books, with a cheap price. And there's a WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is a place where a whistleblowers, a journalist, or any people submit uncritical information with a completely anonymous. So for the example, I want to submit a critical information about the XL negative set. For the example, it's just example. I can submit it through the WikiLeaks. And there's also many other sites that are built in a dark web for a positive purpose. For the example, like there's many forums that allow us to discuss anything anonymously. It's like a Kaskus, but it's a dark web version. And even though it seems so dark, the dark web has many positive sides. So, to close my presentation, I want to quote from J.K. Rowling. I sometimes have tendency to visit the dark side. So, would you join me to visit the dark side? My name is Marlen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so guys, in a couple weeks ago, I've done my survey by asking questions directly to my friends. And even I put up into my Instagram account through Insta Stories. So the question was written like this. Have you ever found difficulties when you're learning more advanced materials compared to the basic one? And if yes, why? And surprisingly, the majority answer is saying yes, I found difficulties. I experienced difficulties while I'm learning more advanced materials. And the reasons is because first, they don't like the subject. And second one, under the name is not my patience. But what makes it worse and what I don't like the most is when at first they love math, for example, in elementary schools or even in junior high schools, but end up hating math in senior high school because they feel like it is getting harder. And even worse, they say that I cannot be mathematicians because it's harder and it's not suit with me and I cannot cope up with that. By those background, what I'm going to be talking right now is about mastery-based learning, which is how you can master the materials and how you can understand better in the future or even become a masters. So, this is what you will be when you want to learn mastery-based learning. First, you got confused, and then after that, the product is you will be masters. But regarding to the definitions by King UN, so mastery-based learning is a learning strategy where your progressions is defined by completions in the various tasks rather than the seed time. Meaning that when you want to pursue to the more advanced materials, you need to be masters in the basic one. So before you go to the another task, you need to mastering the basic one at first, and that's why this mastery-based learning materials need to focus on one specific task before you go to the more advanced materials. But in contrast, what we have been doing for such a long time is not based on mastery-based learning, but it's only based on score tests that is defined by school. For example, you got 80 in math, meaning that you are B students, or because you are smart students, you got 90 or 95, and you are A students. But regarding to those particular scores, you only know that you have the gaps in between you and the knowledge that you are learning, but you don't know which part of materials that you don't master it yet. So that's why, in this particular things, I'm going to be talking about how the step you will go into the mastery-based learnings. So the step is, first, you need to go, what you need to do when you want to learn based on mastery-based learning is first you need to make an indicator. So what do we mean as an indicator here? So you need to make much indicator as detailed as you need it when so you can make sure that your materials are not going to be left behind, and then after that you need to be perseverance. So in a mastery-based learning, because mastery-based learning will not allow you to go into the more advanced materials before you master the first one, you have to be perseverance and you have to be determined toward that. This is the analogy is like when you go into the karate or taekwondo, your coach will never give you black belt. Your coach will never give you black belt so that before you master the white one or the yellow one, and that's why you need to be perseverance on that particular thing. And then on top of the pyramids, you need to be mastery. So what you need to do here is you need to check out all of your indicators, whether or not you're successful on that particular thing. And if you success, you can proceed to the more advanced materials. And that's the step that you need to do in that particular thing. But what is good? If you look at the fact right now that we are living under the system of the government, it is highly impossible for us to change the system. But at least, by knowing that you can learn something to be better, and even you can be master through mastery-based learning, at least right now you can know that you can change that, and you can change as an individual to learn mastery-based learning. Because we believe in mastery-based learning, you have the same opportunity to become a master, not only because you are a genius in children. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please welcome Tommy.
Semangat pagi!
Pagi.
Okay, let's say today I'm gonna give you 100 million rupiah, but you have to choose between these two options. Number one, 100 million in form of bank deposit, or number two, 100 million in form of 64 lot stocks of BBRI. What will be your decision? I believe that most of you will choose bank deposit because only a few people get really familiar about the capital market products. Am I correct? Yes. You are not alone. Because in Indonesia, based on the study of World Bank in 2015, 2 of 3 people in Indonesia is not financial literate. In fact, there are only below 32% people in Indonesia is well literate on using financial products and services for their daily life. Financial literacy is simply understanding financial matter to help you to make your financial decision for your own personal wealth. And today I'm going to show you about finance for millennials. So, how's I'm starting my financial literacy? It's starting from this book from my father. I read this when I was in junior high school. And then, today I'm going to share you 3 key points that I learned from this to all of you, that hopefully you can start to increase your financial literacy. Number 1, let money work for you. It's really simple how to make money work for you. For understanding, you have to pay attention on your passive income. And then, you have to start investing. That's why you believe in the power of compounding to grow up your asset and your money. And today's investing become more easier in this digital era. You can use these 2 apps you can download to start learning and invest your money now. Next, understanding asset and liabilities. You're curious why rich people become richer and poor people become poorer. Because the rich people really invest their own fund into asset, while poor people get trapped into liabilities but they think as an asset. For example, this luxurious new series BMW, do you think it's an asset? Think about it again. And then, last but not least, cash flow. See? If you come up every single end month with this question, where does all money go? If you're having this question, let me ask you, do you make your own monthly budget? No. Do you track your own personal expense?
Yes.
Nah. Maybe for all of you, doing this stuff is a bit complicated. But for me itself, I'm using this app, Money Lover. This really helps you on doing those several tasks to keep track of all of your expenses. You can download in the App Store. Because why? Your money, my money, is matters. And then last but not least, It's never too young to achieve your own financial freedom, but it's only too late if you don't start now and let money work for you. I'm Tommy. Peace.
Kenapa saya mendengar teriakan? Ladies and gentlemen, from Jantung Katulistiwa, Ade.
Terpenoid, flavonoid, chemical, synthesis. Did you ever hear this word, judges?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Today we will learn about this word a little bit. The WHO estimate 80% population in world use herbal medicine. Talking about herbal medicine, did you ever hear this iklan? Kabar gembira untuk kita semua. Yes. This iklan tell us about herbal medicine from mangosteen skin. This is herbal. More people use it. But do you know what is content herbal medicine? According to journal chemistry molecular, mangosteen skin contain chemical compound like flavonoid, saponin, and terpenoid for diseases like cancer, obesitas, and diabetes. So, herbal medicine and non-herbal is the same, but what is the difference from it? Herbal medicine contain chemical compound, but this process is more naturally, can be extraction, and herbal medicine for heavy disease like cancer and long treatment. Heavy disease like cancer, diabetes mellitus, in your body, herbal medicine is slow reaction, but is a constructive. Constructive means like a rebuild your organ, the make organ. And non-herbal, what? Non-herbal is a contain chemical compound, but this process is synthesis, more a chemical, but this is the same. A non-herbal for disease like stomach and headaches or asthma. So non-herbal in your body has a side effect if you using the continuously, but non-herbal non-herbal has a destructive. If you using the continuously, has a side effect in your body. But either herbal or non-herbal is the same. If you're using it, you must be a doctor prescription and a dose specific. So guys, wisely in using any medicine. I'm Adhe Muthia, I'm Semishan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ade. Ladies and gentlemen, from Komunikasi, Fandi.
Welcome to the post-truth era. Have you ever heard about that vaccines may harm your children? Yes. Have you ever heard that the world is actually flat? Yes. Do you guys believe in that? No. But millions of people out there truly believe in that. This is the post-truth era, where the objective reasoning, the objective facts is more believable than the personal. Than the personal and the opinion that is being surrounded out there. So the voices of people that is actually more credible is being voiced out by the people that is actually have no capabilities at all. So what does the post-truth era actually means? That is means the relating or denoting circumstances in which objective facts are less influential in shaping the public opinion that appeals to emotion and personal belief. And this is the actual facts that are happening out there. In the 2016, the Oxford Dictionary says that the post-truth has become the word of the year because there's an increase of 2,000% in the use of post-truth. Like the amplification of the election of presidential in the United States and also the Brexit and also in the context of Indonesia, where the governor election in 2017 between Anies and Ahok, and also the Jokowi and versus the other one in this 2014, it has become very crucial for us to be able to understanding about our situation right now. There is a lot of fake news and hoaxes out there. Like a lot of news become engineered and is made to make the people and the public opinion being influenced in the wrong way, which is not denoting about the actual facts. And this is the actual list of the 2017 Jakarta governor election campaign websites. There is a pro-Ahok website and the anti-Ahok websites. And the traffic comparison of the mainstream media sites with pro and anti-Ahok websites. Like the actual web portals that are actually credible is being outnumbered by the websites that is actually not credible, like Silword.com, portalislam.id, or voislam.com, which is actually did not have credibility or any administrative legality in Indonesia. So, when we say about post-truth, what is the truth itself? We must understand that truth is an information that is steadfast, solid, dependable, and reliable. It is the truth. There is so many truths, but which one is the only truth that we can truly believe? We can know the only truth that exists out there. Like, for example, we can check the news sources from the Council of Indonesian Press or Dewan Pers Indonesia. They have a list of the pers in Indonesia that is actually have been verified both administratively and factually, which is one more reliable than the others. We can understand whether Kompas or Tempo or any other news source is actually credible or not. And the second one is that you can check that you can be wary of clickbaiting titles. Like when you see at Atlan today, like asisten rumah tangga Prilly Latukonsina sedang mudik, maka dia mencuci bajunya sendiri. It is a headline that makes people becomes worried about it.
Thank you, Andi.
Have you ever felt sad or stressed because your grades or your GPA is not as good as you expected to be? Absolutely. Have you ever felt so stressed because you couldn't balancing between your academic and your organizational demands because you are the leader in your organizations? Well, I believe that we all have ever felt that kind of negative emotions. But did you know that you can reduce or even get rid all of those negative emotions and live a happier life? Well, I have a good news for you. In psychology, we have the field of positive psychology, which concerns about our happiness or well-being. And it can be explained in the concept of gratitude. What is gratitude actually? Gratitude is most of us compare or connect with saying thank you. But from the scientific perspective, it is more than just an action. Gratitude is more to positive emotion, so it's more to the feeling. And gratitude is also more than the state of being thankful, but it is more like to the deeper appreciation to someone or something, and it also produces longer lasting positivity. And what's the benefit of being grateful? Well, it helps you to build a better life. Here's why. First, it makes you happier. Why? Because being grateful is linked to experiencing more positive energy or positive emotion than the negative ones. And it also can improve your physical health. Because beyond emotions, gratitude or grateful feelings is also linked to positive a positive or pleasant physical health. And third, it ensures your well-being because it links negatively to depression and also positively to life satisfaction. And last but not least, it also strengthens your interpersonal relationship with others. And I believe that from what I explained before, there's one big question that arose within your mind, which is, how exactly can I implement this grateful concept with my life? Well, it is simple. Just change your perspective. How? Acknowledge and recognize all the goodness in your life. Affirm that, all in all, your life is good. And that is not only just worth living in, but also you just have to know who to thank for that, who makes you being happy. And you can also do this in your daily life by writing a 5-minute gratitude journal every day. And it is so simple that you just have to think and write about 5% that you feeling grateful for and what is the best moment at the end of your day. And you can do this every day at the end of your day before you are going to bed. And do this every day and you'll find the difference between your former self and your present self. And I can ensure that, well, I am feeling grateful to share this information to you guys. And I hope that you find this useful and you can do this and implement this within your daily life. I'm Afi, thank you.
Good afternoon. Have you guys ever heard about this quote? When once Bill Gates said that vision without execution is daydreaming. So actually it's as same as the principle of project management, which you have planned but you do not execute is a nightmare. Project management is one of the focus in industrial engineering, which do not only talk about one aspect, but it combines all aspects such as human resources, communication, cost, time, scope, and such. Therefore, the project manager needs to use integrated tools in order to finish the project. Here, I would like to ask you guys that, do you actually realize that how close project management into our real life? Let's take a look on the characteristic of project management. There are two characteristics, what we can call activity as a project. First, it must be unique, which means it happens once in a lifetime. And the second, it must have goals. Do you remember what the goal should be? Smart. Remember on the first workshop, right? Yeah. Yes. That's as simple as the definition of project. So here, actually, we have done this project in our daily life, right? We have joined competition, events in campus, so you guys have been a project manager. The thing is, in project, we usually find this kind of situation where there is triple constraint between time, cost, and also quality. Great project must have great quality, but in short period of time and must use minimum cost. But the thing is it hard to manage it? Yes, yes. It's hard to manage it. But the thing that we can refer to project manager is they do not give up when they find this kind of situation. What they do is they negotiate to the client because what? They would like to maintain the expectation of the client itself. They take their responsibility, so they adjust the triple constraint. When we find this in the middle of the project, we can call it as a risk. And the good thing about the project management is they use risk management. Before they do the project, firstly, they list about any possibility of risk that might happen. And also, they'll list about how actually we can tackle the risk and prevent it to happen. Let's imagine, guys, if we can apply this in our daily life. See how useful actually any kind of tools in project management that we can apply in our real life. Because every day or in our life, we usually do a project. And these some of the tools that actually we can use in our daily life, such as first about work breakdown structure, which we can make any kind of detail of the activity so that we can know the detailed budget that we need, for example, or the detailed time that we need to plan, and we can make it in a Gantt chart. This is one of the tools that actually can control us so that we can know whether we are in front of the schedule or we are beyond schedule. And the last but not least, the good thing about project manager, they always see the possibilities. They do not prepare only for one plan, but they prepare for pessimistic, optimistic, and also most likely. So therefore, it's to see whether their project is feasible or not. So, are you ready to be the project manager of your life and meet the expectation of yourself? Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Do you ever guys cook fried chicken or see other people cook fried chicken?
Yes.
Do you ever wonder why should we clean the chicken first, make sure that there are no feather on it and then fry it? Why don't we fry it first and then clean it? And why I am talking about this? Do I will talk about how to cook? No. I am the student of informatics engineering. And what I want to share today is how to think like a programmer. And knowing how the programmer's mindset, like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, like Steve Jobs. And isn't that interesting? Okay, let's back to our fried chicken. So why we should clean the chicken first and then we fry it? Why don't we do the reverse? And of course, because it's dirty. It's no sense. Who wants to eat chicken that complete with the feathers? I think no one will. So that's my point. The truth of the logic related to the sequence of the statements is called with algorithm. Guys, I have been frustrated in my 1 year at college when I for days I'm sitting in front of my computer because my programs is error, and the problem is the 2 lines of code is reversed. Stupid, right? But that is algorithm, and we should thank to the inventor of algorithm, Al-Khwarizmi. Algorithm is the basic knowledge that must be mastered by each programmer. Without algorithms, the problems will not be finished properly, right? And without algorithms, the solution obtained will not be effective and efficient. Like a cookbook, algorithm is step by step of operations. According to Carmen's algorithm is this algorithm. Okay, I don't know. For example, algorithm is how to cook fried chicken, and the first step is prepare the materials and the tools, and the second you clean up and you turn on the stove and so on. You will know until the end is you serve the chicken and process is end. That is the algorithm. And for the same case, algorithm of each person
would be different. And the characteristic of good algorithm is effective and efficient. Effective means how close the output with.
Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
Are you okay? So you're ready to hear my presentation. Did you ever realize that everything we use, everything we wear, and everything we interact with us every day, even before coming here, all of that are almost produced by agriculture sector? But the irony of this day is about the most people didn't know about the meaning itself. They just know about the short meaning of agriculture. If you ask about, do you know agriculture? What will you be after you graduate? Everyone will talk about farmer. Mostly will talk about that. And I believe that. So in here, I will talk about the development of agriculture itself today, and also the study of HCES and BPOF. They're done by the Food and Agriculture Organization. The HCES is the system that used at there, and done in the community of BPOF, Brazilian Pesquisa de Orçamentos Familiares, as the representative of the world in budgeting a survey of human population. And we correlate to the next of population growth that do also for Food and Agriculture Organization too. In 2009 until 2025 is about third, or 2.3 billion in the rate of a year. Based on these facts, I will want you to hear about the popular theory from Malthus. Malthus talk about the human population and also the food production with different background, with different meaning. We talk about this first is about human population. We grow with geometrical progression, 1, 2, 4, 8. And about food production is about arithmetical progression, 1, 2, 3, 4. Meaning that the growth from human population is greater than food production. And in here is about, we talk productivity that must be reached in agriculture today as the challenge to feed the world in 2050. And now this I'll talk to you about the agricultural revolution. Start from mechanization that one farmer should feed about 126 people. And the next generation is about green revolution, where one farmer should feed about 155 people. And in here is the read from FOA. The reach of the human population in 2050 is about 9.1 billion, and one farmer should be able to feed about 256 people. The question is what we use and how. In here, I'll talk to you about precision agriculture. I will lead you to the method, a precise method called as plant factory, where this method focuses on the production 10 to 100 from normal productivity, and clear to the urban people as the user of this technology. And how to use this? Why I choose this technology to make a precise of productivity? Because this is has the research of the Japan Deloitte from Deloitte Tomatsu Group 2014 that plant factory has prospect until 2025. And in here, I will talk to you about more precisely about plant factory by household plant factory itself. And the last is about this plant factory with artificial intelligence.
3R. I bet everyone has heard this, but not everybody has heard this. Responsible consumption and production is one part of sustainable development goals set by United Nations and countries worldwide. The more universal term is sustainable consumption, which basically means consuming by minimizing environmental harms and using resources to its minimum use that is necessary, so not exceeding, not too lavish, and so on. But usually the question that revolves is why And how do we do that as consumers in our daily lives, right? First, why important? In the current world, 1/3 of our food worth $1 trillion every year is being wasted, even though it actually contributes to 22% of our pollution annually. And also 21 others is contributed by households, which include us as daily consumers. So even if we might think that our contribution is very small and minuscule because it's only one person in the world, but it actually matters a lot because we are the main wheels of the economics that run in the world. If we don't change, it's estimated by 2050, we would need 3 planets of Earth to fulfill the current lifestyle that we still conduct. That's why change is necessary. But the question is how? First things first, we need to know what carbon footprint is. It's basically an estimation of greenhouse gas emissions or pollution that we produce whenever we're doing an activity, in this case consumption. Starting from the resource extraction to the processing, production, consumption, and also waste and pollutions that are resulted through the consumption process. We have to reduce that, but the question is how? First things, we have to calculate our carbon footprint. There are a lot of available online platforms. The calculators will estimate the carbon footprint that we emit every year, and also the distribution between sectors like food, energy, transportation. One of the link is provided below on the slide as well. And then we can strategize like which sector we want to reduce from that carbon footprint emission. First, food. An example would be when we ate in the lunch break, I would suggest that everybody, if you cannot finish your food, give it to somebody else. We don't want to be a part of the contribution of that 1/3 food that is being wasted every year, right? It's just spoiled there. Instead of doing that, you can just share it to your friends who can eat more than you can, for example. And then using energy efficient bulbs and then renewable energy sources, preserving water, also traveling moderately, but more importantly, use of plastics. We know all the narratives that revolve around plastics, but I'm sure that some of you might have known, but some of you might not know yet, that the most current research actually shows how plastics have infiltrated the depth of the ocean that includes the animals that we eat. Therefore, if you waste plastics randomly on street, for example, it will go back to you through your food, through your seafood, for example. That's why we don't want that to happen. Please use reusable bags and containers, for example. Lastly, and most importantly, eco-labels. Eco-label is basically a label that indicates whether a product is eco-friendly or not. But be sure and be aware, don't mix it with greenwashing, which is a deceitful action taken by companies to make it seem like their products are more eco-friendly than it actually is. 3 simple steps to differentiate. Number 1, you need to know how it's eco-friendly, not only knowing the label. Second, seeing whether that label comes from a legit institution like ISO. And third, by Googling more information on products that you want to buy, whether it's truly eco-friendly or not. We cannot compromise the existence of Earth, but we can compromise with our own greed and selfishness. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I immensely interested in the environmental issue and sustainability. For more than 3 years from now, I spend most of my time to learn about it, as a student of environmental engineering itself. So this is one of my startup that was founded with me and my friends from about 8 months ago. So the startup was meant to educate people for increasing the responsibility of their own waste. So actually, this is in the past I thought that waste problem can be solved by recycling and sorting the waste, but now I found it. This fact that just 9% of waste is being recycled. So yeah, as environmental engineering students, I found that the technology to be implemented to recycle the waste is really difficult. So that's why I need to change my opinion, I guess. So actually, this is just one plastic bottle that's produced by 1 people in a day. So if the people still buy it for 1 month, this is the amount of waste that will produce. And if the people still buy it for a year, this is the amount of waste. Okay, let me remember you. This is just 1 plastic bottles items, I guess, for all kind of waste. And also it's just produced by 1 person in a year. So imagine how much the waste is being produced by all kind of people in the world. So actually I realized that, okay, things that I need to remind that we need to remind the people that the reduction of the waste is really, really important. So this is waste produced by Lauren Singer for about 3 years, just one jar. Okay, after I saw this picture, I really realized that, oh, I guess why not to try it by myself? So I spent for the past 3 weeks to start my zero waste. So before I start my zero waste journey, I spent 1 week before to see what kind of waste that I produce. After 1 week of the observation, I found one thing that I need to reduce immediately. Guess it? Yeah. Is it disposable things? Things that is just use it once and just throw it away. So as you can see from in the supermarket and shopping mall, all things wrapped in the disposable things. And also when you use takeaway food service, most of them will give you like spoon, fork, and also plate that made with the disposable things like plastic and etc. So actually, how was my life for the past 3 weeks? Actually, my life is really happy because I can reduce the amount of waste that I produce. And also, I avoid dehydration because I always bring all the tumblers everywhere. And also, I use my lunchbox to reduce the disposable things when I use takeaway food service. And yeah, if it is just me, I guess there is nothing change in the world. So I guess if the people also know the importance of reducing of their own waste, I think the world can be safe. And yeah, I can strongly suggest you to start zero waste journey by 3 single steps. First is spend 1 week before to see what kind of waste you produce. And the second, start to bring your tumbler, your lunchbox, your tote bag everywhere. And the last but not least, when you want to buy something, thinking twice. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
When I moved to one of the rural village in Bengkulu, I actually very happy and I had a best friend. But turns out that she got married and left the school. Surprisingly, it keeps happening. Like half of my friends actually gets married and left the school. It makes me realize that actually I'm grateful enough to live in a family which literate and encourage me to read a lot. Which right now, I'm in college and I learn about English educations. So in a wish that once I settle, I could go back and contribute to the community. But that is not what we are going to talk here. We're going to talk what we learn in English education. So basically, English education learn about 3 things. First, hassle, linguistic, and literature. So in our freshman year, we learned about literatures. We learned the Shakespeare's play, we learned about analyzing Fitzgerald's work, and also Dickens poetry. And in the end of the semester, we can conclude that actual literature is very important for the humankind in 3 key of respects. Number 1, it saves our time. So how literature saves our time? Oftentimes, people forget that if we want to experience several emotion or events, it needs years or even decades to experience it directly. But with literatures, we can experience it in only 1 hour or 2. Like for example, we watch Shakespeare's play, for example, or even read books, right? We only need like hours or 2. Why it is matter? Because when you experience this thing, you have this nuance of familiarity. So when you encounter such a dilemma, for example, in your organization or working place, you already had this idea and you can prevent yourself whenever this is happening. You know what to do and you know what not to do. So it also can prevent you from making a same mistake, for example, like how Hamlet are making betrayal, for example, that will jeopardize your life. But not only that. Number 2, we learned that actually learning literatures will improve our emotional intelligence. How? Because we're able to see things from other people's shoes. Like how we're able to see the consequences of our action of another in a way otherwise wouldn't. So it is very important because we also have a portrayal of kindness, generosity, and empathic people in a way that this commercialized world cannot help us again. But this is the most interesting, that literature is one of our true friends. Why so? Because in current situation, to trust people 100% is very difficult, right? We don't know whether our friend is truly loyal to us or not. But literature is always be there to express and represent the fragile, weirdness, and our inner thought that we are afraid to tell to the people.
So so this is actually how it gets interesting. And one plus point that literatures like books, like poetry, is always be there and never too busy for us. So you might surprise that look, the most greatest leaders is actually fond of literature and also an avid reader. Teddy Roosevelt reads 2 books in a day. Thomas Jefferson has his own personal library, and even Barack Obama regularly watched Shakespeare's play, even in his presidency. So why? Because they believe that literature can shape their character to become a better person. So how to start? We know this is important, and how to start? Diana Cotto from Harvard University said we can start by simply picking up the simplest form of literature, which is book. Bring it, choose the genre you like, and read it while you can. But here's the thing. But this is not, literature is not going to be useful for all my expertise. Put aside that thing, because medicine, law, business, engineer is very important to sustain life. But poetry, love, romance, these are the way we sustain life for. So let's dive to literature and be a decent creator. Thank you.
How many languages do you speak? 1, 2, 3, or maybe 20. But I'm sure in this class, all of us can speak at least 2 languages, right? So, what is the best way to learn a new language? If we ask people who are not in the business of language teaching, we will get variety of answers that will mainly based on the cognitive and the social consideration. We tend to neglect one of the most fundamental behaviors that is really important in the second language acquisition, and that's the personality factor. Personality is considered to be a pattern of unique characteristic of individuals. According to the Gass and Slinker in 1994, personality has significantly influenced the degree of success individuals achieve in acquiring second language. In general, personality is divided into 2 categories, extrovert and introvert. I'm sure that we've often heard about this before, right? So let's just focus with the strength and the weakness for both of personality in language scale, of course. Extrovert. They are really good to communicate with other people. They have high confidence and they're really active in every group discussion. But the weakness are, they don't really care about the grammatical things and linguistic forms such as pronunciation and etc. So the output won't be good. And then the introvert, they are really good in writing, of course, such as essay. And then they have high sensitivity in grammatical things and linguistic forms. But the weakness is, they don't have any confidence to speak up. After several decades of the research, it has been discovered a new personality that takes the strength from both extrovert and introvert, the ambivert. Ambivert seems like a gray area in the personality type world. Experts believe that this is the best personality to acquire a new language because it can produce language perfectly, both written and oral. The example of the ambivert person, one of the examples is Tim Donner. He is a very famous, you can check it on YouTube. Yeah, he is a polyglot who has the ability to expert in multiple languages. And he can speak 25 languages. Now, we know that the ambivert is the best personality to acquire a new language. So how about others? Extrovert and introvert? Are there any possibility for them to become an ambivert or better than that? The answer is absolutely yes. Because personality is shaped by genetic and environmental issues. It means that the personality can be changed. But you cannot totally change your personality. You just can take the strength from other personality and minimize the weakness of your personality. And then you combine it. And then the example of this, still Tim Donner. Actually, he was an introvert before. And then one day he found out in the article that say, try to be extrovert while you learn a new language. Because even you're really good in the grammatical things and linguistic forms, it's useless when you cannot use that language to communicate with other people. Because the function of the language is to make you communicate with other people. Next, and then he had to push himself to break his limit. It was hard, but he could do that. Now he can become, he even speak up in front of thousands of people and become a polyglot. Now, we know that. I know that everybody in this room has the same potential to be like him. We have, maybe it's not in the language scale, maybe another knowledge. We have something that we really want to achieve, our dreams. The keys are break our limit and improve our potential. But of course, there's a risk if we want to do that. We have to get away from our comfort zone. There's no successful people without get away from their comfort zones, because comfort zones are where our dreams go to die. Thank you. I'm Siti Farhan.
All right.
International authors use when they cite it. For example, paraphrasing. So you mixed and matched, like you combined the previous author's words with your own words and make a paraphrase and then put it on your writings. And also there is quotations, or you quote someone's writings and then put it on your writings, and then you put the name of the authors. For example, according to Leo, XLFL students are handsome and pretty. That's one kind of citations, which is you put the writer's name on your citations. And then, what is the most important about citations? Again, citations encourage us to claim other people's work. So if you want to make a good writings, you have to state where you take the informations, you put the source, so your work will not be considered as plagiarism. And what style is more acceptable? According to survey in 2016, Indonesian authors or Indonesian writers tend to use positive justification, or they tend to be agree with the previous research or previous authors. But international writers tend to use negative or critical attitude, because they want to make a research gap from previous research, so they can improve the research. And it is like a chain. When you the citation makes your writings become more legible and more trustworthy. And then it will lead to readers' attention that, oh, this writing is really good because they put proof in it. And then it will also continue, so you can reach a more wider reader in this world. And yeah, probably your writings could be explained or put it in international journal, and you can share your findings with other people. And what is the more important is, and what is the correlation between citations that I have explained to you with your daily life, that you have to put proof on everything you say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Well, today we are going to talk about my phone and your phone, and my charger and your charger. Well, how often we use our smartphone? The answer is every day, because we are using to open social media, finding partners, texting, and also using it for tethering and listening to the music. Well, this is proportional to the time of we charge our battery. We charge it almost every day, and maybe every 8 hours a day. And do we remember that this is very important to note that our battery has different kind of the old-fashioned battery. Today we are using the lithium-ion battery. And of course, we are also introduced with the fast charging system. And do you currently curious why is this not the best for using the fast charging system? Most of us are interested about fast charging system and not so fast charging system. Why? Because every battery are not supporting by the fast charging system. Especially my old phone, cell phone, is not supporting by fast charging system. And what is about, I'm talking about fast charging system, battery, on all that technical stuff. Well, today I would like to talk about the misconceptions about the battery. Well, look at the Patrick. Patrick is asking question that my parents and my cousin asked also. It's about, do we need to charge our battery at the first use, our smartphone especially? It is actually the answer, let me help SpongeBob answer it. It is actually not necessarily. Why? Because we are using lithium-ion battery. Lithium-ion battery is no need to charge at the first time we use it. It's no need to be memorized. The battery is no need to memorize about what capacity that it is need to use. And we are going to talk with another misconception today. First question is, we need to always charge our phone until it's 0% and let it charge and unplug it after 100%. Do you think it's right or not? No. Yes, that's the truth, because we are using lithium-ion battery. The battery is actually need to be counted is the cycle. This one cycle battery is from 0% to 100%, which is actually it's good to think that lithium-ion is best working in partial charger. That's why we are not charging it from 0% and not unplug it after 100%. 30% and 80% is the best. Second, it is not safe to charge your devices overnight. Do you think it's true? Yes. Yes, it's true, but not for improving your life battery. So, it is actually your smartphone and your smart battery is working very good. Every time you see when you plug out your battery, when it's reached 100%, it says your battery is full, your battery is full. Is that right? It is because there is a controller inside it. So you don't worry about overcharging. It will cause your battery to explode. No, it doesn't mean like that. But charging more than 12 hours is not good for your micro component of your phones, not for your battery. This is misconception also. And what the things that need to be noted is we should put our phone away while we are charging it. Because actually if we put it under our pillow, it's limit the heat dissipation, which is will cause not explosion like what you see on Google, but it actually will damage your micro component and will affect your brain health. Yeah, and the third one is
when we look back in the 7 or 8 years ago, when we know that people without any personal vehicle, it's difficult to move from one place to the other place. The only choices that they can take is using the public transportation. Am I right? Like a bus or trains. But you know that using this kind of transportation, sometimes spend our time. And I do believe this is not efficient because we should move from one station to the other station. However, in 2011, something big came to our country. And the transformation of the transportation in Indonesia was changed because of this company. Yes. I do believe most of you as the loyal customer of this company. And I do believe that most of you agree with my statement that this company is unique, different, innovative, and crazy. Yeah, crazy. They don't have any vehicle transportation as their asset, but they can be a great transportation company in our country. Yes? Are you agree with my statement then? Yes. Okay. Nice. Nadiem Makarim said that Gojek, it should make something different. And they stated that they use the blue ocean strategy. The blue ocean strategy. Blue ocean strategy is one of the marketing strategy that make the company created the value innovation to make them different with the others. So, this strategy was introduced by Chen Kim and the MacBook. Both of these persons believe that value innovation can make the company become great. Or the company should putting off their stuff out from their competition that already exists in market. They should create their own market. Based on the Harvard Business Review, there are 3 benefits of using this strategy. The first, they can increase the demand in the society. Second, they can make the competition irrelevant. Why? Because they have their own market. And the third, they can boost the profit up to 61%. But guys, here, I don't want
say this strategy only in the business side, but I want you to know that this strategy also implied in our daily life. Like what we do today. We gather here, we learn something, we challenge ourselves, and we improve our skill to make us different, to make us unique. Because we are as the young generation of Indonesia, and we should win the competition in the future. So guys, here I am Rosalia Citra, encourage you to be a great Excel future leader and make this country great. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I will talk about privacy and smartphone apps. Have you ever realized that every space of our life we always use smartphone with their apps installed on it? Yes? From those activities, do we trust our smartphone and their apps? Do we care about how privacy that is stored in our smartphone? How if it can leak your data? While we install an smartphone apps, we have to agree about some permission that apps try to modify in our smartphone. This is some of their permission as on Android devices. In research that done by Pew Security, there are more than 1 million apps in Google Play Store that have 236 permission that ask to user before they install an app. 160 is used to grant the hardware change, such as turn on the camera, turn on the microphone, and 70 left is about us, the personal information of the user of the smartphone. I'm sure that everybody in this room have a Google account, right? In my search, there one fact that Google keeps track keeping our data and make it and warp it so they can know who we are, because this is some example of location-based service apps that in LBS these apps activate the hardware change, and the location stored in these maps can be tracked. From this information, did we get fact that these apps can leak our data, because it save our location and it can track our location. Aside of that, there is another example of apps such as Gojek, which is use LBS. In the relevance of our privacy is Gojek show our phone number to the driver, and after an article review, the driver was threatened the user because the user gave the bad review for them. In any other terms, that
how do you connect a country that made of 70,000 of islands to the internet? This question popped up in my head, but later I found the answer. I started a year ago when I was taking a selection of XLVL batch 5. I read an article about a balloon that can spread Wi-Fi across the sky, and I began interesting and discovered Project Loon. It's a common thing that in Indonesia, when in remote area that we can access internet in difficult. We tend to think that every part in Indonesia can access internet equally, but there's only 29% of the population in Indonesia can have an access to the internet. Project Loon is a balloon a high altitude balloon that can spread internet across the sky. It flies 90,000 until 60,000 until 90,000 feet above, and it's like 2 until 3 times higher than a commercial airplane. There's many things positive way about this project Loon. The first one is availability of information. Even then, farmers can research and analyze to increase their yields, and even mom can raise their economies. And number 2 is education can get easier to get. Even now, XL Axiata can spread their XL alert penetrates its system deeper to the kids over there. But and Google been partner with 3 internet service providers in Indonesia, XL Axiata, Telkomsel, and Indosat. Even our CEO, Mrs. Dian Siswarini, said this is a good plan to do because once it's well planned, there's no excuse to oppose this implementing project. But there's problems in here. There's problem in here. This will harm our Telkom Indonesia that have invent in fiber optic infrastructure or even satellite palapa that made by our nation. No, not really, because Google Loon only focusing on hard to reach area that can provide by their network. But without Google Loon, this remote area would probably never can be reached by their network because it's too difficult or too costly. So it's important to be open to us to learn new technology and innovation, because if it can accelerate our connectivity distribution, then why not? I am Audya from informatic engineering. Thank you.
You know, they're saying that save the best for the last, so here come the best. Excuse me, do you want to hear a story?
Yeah.
It's a story from 1902. It's about this girl, this woman. This woman named Mary Winchell. Mary Winchell invented the windshield, but how the story goes? The story goes like this. So one day, when she wants to go to New York for her vacancy, it was really cold day, really with snow, and there's so many cold, freezing cold in there. So what Mary do? She thinks that it is important for passenger to feel warm inside of the car. So she invented something that was never invented before, which is the windshield. What makes it different from us, all the passengers, and Mary? It's about its habit.
Mary's habits of thinking is different from other people around that era. She thought differently, so she could find specific problem-solving things to do that can help them to improve the community. So, talking about design, as a design students, I am asked to think creatively and innovatively. And by thinking creatively and innovatively, it means that we have to challenge the status quo. And challenging the status quo is by challenging our habit, because habits hides what we think the problem is. Design thinking allows us to think creatively and innovatively. It allows us to think and to see the problems correctly. There are three main parts of design thinking process. The first one is understand, the second one is explore, and the third one is materializing. And among these three, there are one central part, which is the first part, which is understand. Understand correlates with habits. We tend to think and to see, if we see habits, in habitations, we often see something that we don't see it in real life. For example, when you think, like when you're first driving, everything was so clear in your head. Like there's people walking, there's cats just slipping around, and there is something and something and something. But as you get used to it, driving gets easier and easier. And at the times, you only know it's about you and just drive. So, talking about habits hides the real problem is. It means that we have to get rid of our habits to understand the real problem is. You are a leader. Every single of you is a leader. So does I, isn't it? Yeah. But then, what the problem is? The problem is leaders solve problems. And by solving problems, the first thing is to know what problem is. And knowing the problem is, it means that we have to change our habit or seeing things differently. That's all from me. Thank you very much.